Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Drama Teaching Emporium. Today I have Ian here with me one more time, and welcome, Ian.
Is it the last time?
No, it's not the last time. It will never be the last time. Ian is the founder of Creation Drama Studio and the Drama Teaching Emporium.
Co-founder.
Co-founder, exactly, and
yes.
co-founder of the Drama Teaching Emporium. And today we are going to talk about his role in both of these projects, which are more creative. So we want to actually talk to you about how you deal with some challenges that might come up in this world. But before we start the whole discussion, would you like to tell us a little bit about your background? So about your studies, experiences, skills, everything that actually led you to be doing these creative roles today.
Ooh, yeah. Well, acting wise, I always acted from a young age, as we all do. I actually started off in opera. Yes, when I had a high voice, and then puberty struck, and
And then your opera career
opera
was,
career went with it.
okay.
But yeah, it was at Glyndebourne Opera House. Very fancy, so that was fun, and that really got me into it. And then, yeah, after the singing voice went, I was like, just enjoyed the acting. Yeah, went to uni the first time when I was 18 or 19 and didn't go well. Uh, wasn't
Go on.
ready for it. No, I was still in the mode of kind of like enjoying life, shall we say.
What was it? Which studies?
Went to Manchester Met.
Okay.
Um, it
Mm-hmm.
was a contemporary arts, performing arts degree,
Nice.
which is nice for someone but it's not my type of thing, the
Yeah,
contemporary arts.
of
And it was
course.
a lot of writing. And in the first, maybe, I was in Freshers Week. I remember in Freshers Week, we got given three kind of like 2,000 word
Essays.
essays. And I was like, never written one.
In
And
the
I
first week, that's
yeah, in the
quite
first week, yeah,
ambitious. Yeah.
yeah, especially like, yeah, especially for actors who like to
Yeah,
go out and
especially for
enjoy themselves.
actors. And yeah.
And I was very much enjoying myself. So yeah, what happened basically was with that, it was the first term, and we had reading week,
Mm-hmm.
and I hadn't done any of the written stuff, and there was a lot, and I was just like I was just overwhelmed by it in
Yeah.
that sense, and I was still kind of like young, and my dad's always said it like I always take a few more years than everyone else to kind of like
To get
understand things and kind of like grow up a bit. And yeah, I don't know if I should tell this story. Uh,
tell any story. We love.
well, in reading week, the teachers basically said you can either you need to catch up on all the work, so go around to all your tutors. So I had a conversation with like the head of year, and I was like, okay, I'll go around to all the tutors. On the way back to the dorms, my friend met me who was doing sports science or something, and they actually had a reading week. Well, everyone did apart from me. And he said, "Do you want to come down to my house and have a party?" It was like down in Basingstoke somewhere, opposite side of England. So I did that, and on the way down there, they said, "Oh, wouldn't it be great to go to France to pick up some alcohol?" I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Well, one thing led to another. Ended up in Amsterdam,
Oh
in
my
my
God.
mum's car. That at that point they were on holiday, didn't know about it. I'm pretty sure I've told them this story before.
If not, they're going to find out now.
And then ended up back at uni a week later, um, and yeah, got kicked out of college. I got offered to come back. We had a good chat, and I just said I'm not ready for this, which I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people aren't. I think sometimes it's that you've got to do this, you've got to go to that, and it wasn't a pressure that I got put on me, but I was like, oh, it sounds better than getting a job. But I wasn't in the right
Ready,
mindset.
yes, exactly. And I think it
Yeah.
happens a lot with kids who, especially at 18, you finish high school, you are ready to go, and you're
Mm,
like, oh, so now I have to choose something for the rest of my life and actually do that for 5 or 6 years or who knows for how long. And
yeah.
actually, yeah, that's what you do.
And you get swept away in especially at that age, especially the way that I got swept away in it. So it wasn't until I was 24 that I went back to university,
Hmm.
and then my mum loved me again. Uh, um,
But it is also because then you knew that you actually wanted to do it, you know?
yeah, I had 3 or 4 years working on the railway. Still trying to do. I wrote kind of like mini little scenes and things that we did in local festivals with friends and things like that.
Hmm.
And then it was an ex-girlfriend that was like, "You've got to go back." And she was the one that actually applied for me. So I never actually applied myself ever. But I got into the Courtyard Theatre, and yeah, I spent 3 years there. Absolutely loved it. I looked specifically for those ones being um, more kind of like
Practical.
practical than academic, and it was like 80% practical, and
Nice.
it was great. And again, the academic didn't go too well on that, but the
But it
practical made
was
up for it because I did all
exactly,
right, got a 2-1, it
exactly.
was great, and that's where I met Sarah. And then after that, where I got into kind of like directing and writing at uni, along with the acting. And then, yeah, after that, I think, yeah, then because I did my dissertation
Mm-hmm.
on horror theatre,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm very much into horror, and wrote a little horror play, and we performed it, and it went really well. And then we were just like, should we just start a little kind of like theatre troupe? So we did that, toured that around the outskirts, the little theatres in London for a while, and then yeah, and then we did some short plays, me and Sarah. And then we turned one of them into a big one, The
Mm-hmm.
Evacuee, which we put on at the Chelsea Theatre. And then we decided to come to Sieges in Spain, and I studied film.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then that led to what do we do for work? Neither of us speak Spanish. We've just got here. We need money. And I was like, there's not anything for kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 10 years ago. Um, and we set up with 2 classes here, and it's now we're on about 20
20
classes across
something, yeah.
Sieges, Castelldefels, Barcelona, acting for camera, theatre, and filmmaking. So yeah, so that's where it all kind of like went from and to the quick journey. Uh,
It's an awesome journey.
yeah, lots more in between.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
fun.
yeah. It's been fun and it sounds
Yeah.
great. So with all of this experience that you have, so both working wise, education wise, everything, how do they all come up into what you do now? So what do you do now? You told us that you write scripts. What is exactly that you do?
Yeah, so obviously I teach. I teach all
Yes.
of the stuff in the filmmaking, but a lot of this, or a lot of the past 10 years has been the lesson planning, coming up with um, ideas for exercises. Obviously, we try to incorporate the things that we learned from uni, and we put that, but obviously make it to into a place where the kids can understand it.
Exactly.
And I mean, with some of the older kids, you can go
You
all the
can
way.
just go
Like some of
immediately.
them are
Yeah,
just
yeah.
incredible. But even with the younger kids, really going into the lab and with them, but making it work for them. How can we make Shakespeare work for them? Um, and really, a lot of it is with the emotions and understanding emotions, because then it's not just helping them understand
Mm-hmm.
like how to act, but it's also them understand themselves. And just making it fun. For me, it was always a case of the reason why I loved doing acting was because it was fun and it was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where obviously Manchester Met did not go well, because it was not doing, it was
Doing
a
it
lot
was,
of
yeah,
academic stuff.
academics.
And obviously after school clubs is always going to be a lot of doing, but making sure it's fun, engaging, and it's not the same, because I unfortunately didn't have any drama clubs where I was when I was younger, but a lot of people I've spoken to have always said, "Oh yeah, we play Zip Zap Boy as our warm up game, and then we do this exercise, and then we do that, and then we just get into a theatre play." And I'm like, "Huh? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't? So you? What about this exercise, that exercise? What about these warm up games? No, no, no. We just had that warm up game, maybe a different one as well, and then normally we do a couple of weeks, and then it'd be straight into
Mm-hmm.
scripts." And I'm like, "But okay, the performance side is amazing, like the script learning and everything like
Of
that,
course. The
but
skills.
it's very important to learn the skills,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why we do the things of like we have 6 weeks, then we go into the play, then we have a whole term of just skill work, and then another 6 weeks of skill work, and then you go into the plays again, because
Exactly.
they've got to understand. If they don't understand that, like you can just do theatre plays and that's great.
And you're getting experience, but the
Yeah,
training has to be also done through the exercises.
so that was a lot of kind of like me and Sarah kind of like, let's make sure that we build these exercises, build
Mm-hmm.
their voices, build them like they know how
The
to
physicality, everything. Yeah,
everything,
the tools
like
that
really
they need
getting
to
into the
use.
script.
Yeah.
So they're understanding, because what I do a lot is we use a lot of short scripts, as you
Mm-hmm.
know, and they're very vague. Like there's only like 3 or 4 lines or per person or something like that, but I make it very vague
Mm-hmm.
because I want them to decide, and them to decide who they are, what's going on before, what's happening, what's the
Because then they have to
relationship.
use their imagination.
Exactly. So when they
Exactly.
do get a script that is maybe an audition or whatever it is, they already start thinking about that stuff. Whereas if you just give them scripts and you're working on plays constantly, you're telling them.
Exactly. You're telling
And a
them
lot of
what to
teachers
do.
do just tell them. And they're like, oh, you're doing this, you're moving there, you're going there, you're doing
Mm-hmm.
this. And they're not learning, they're not understanding, okay, how can I go deeper with the
They're
relationship
not
of
being
the
independent
character
in
and
that
to get, yeah.
process. Yeah.
So I think that was one of the big things that I really like to do. And I people do buy the teaching Emporium, they see lots of vague scripts, but this is the reason why, because it's for the kids and it really helps them to come up with the ideas.
Nice.
So yeah, so that was a lot of the exercises we do is on that as well, is really them working on their imagination and
Okay.
them coming up with stuff, and also communicating with each other what's
Because
going
they have
on.
to work as a group. They have to work in pairs, of course. Yes.
Because
Yes.
it's always a thing. Okay, so you ask one of them what was happening, what's kind of like your relationship, and they're like, oh, so we're brother and sister. Oh no, I thought we were friends. And you're like, ah, there we
You have
go,
to
and right,
define these
go
things.
away, let's talk again, and then come back
Exactly.
and show it. So yeah, that's
Exactly, and then they know
yeah,
the steps that they have to take when they actually do have the script.
yeah.
Okay, so this is the backstories that I have to work on, especially if it's a casting, if it's an audition. They know the questions they need
Exactly,
to
yeah.
ask.
And
Okay.
there's a lot of kids now have been with us. You see the kids who get past 3 years, they know it straight away, and they go deep straight away. And you see the differences in the performances, the short performances that they do at the end of class with the new ones.
It is a big difference.
Yeah, a
And
big
it's like,
difference.
and sometimes I even forget because it becomes, we have the wood and everything. It becomes something that for a lot of our kids is something, of course, we have to do it. It kind of,
Yeah,
you don't have to tell them because that's their starting point. And then when you get the new kids, you're like, oh, so we have to teach them
yeah. We
that.
got to remind them,
We
remind
have to
them,
remind
because
them.
on the new kids, the kids who've been there for a long time forget as well. Because I'm like, well, just
Exactly.
this, and I'm like, whoa.
Hmm.
But yeah, so that's so a lot of the lesson planning. Obviously, I write all the scripts.
That was the next question.
Yes,
Yes, yes. The
yes, a lot of
scripts.
scripts. Yeah.
Okay, so when you actually do write the scripts, what is in your mind? So what are you trying to do? Because it's obviously very different when you write the scripts for the kids for a certain
Yeah.
group and when you would just write a general script for a play to put out.
Yeah, so the kids, I mean, first of all, I always had the thing of I want to give every child an opportunity, an equal opportunity, especially at this age. It's not about them being the star, because if they get given the opportunity, they can be the star anyway. All of them can be individual stars with given the right amount of lines and everything like that. Um, and the other reason was because then I don't have to worry about parents saying they've got enough
Why
lines,
didn't
or
my
yeah,
kid?
because
Yeah.
I'm like everyone has the same lines. But it bugged me at university that you'd have people. I was one of them. Sorry, toot my own horn there. But you get people who get the lead parts, and I understand it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, but it's got to be like the industry." It's like, well, yes and no,
You're still in
because you're
education.
still in education, and yes, even if you have some of the actors who are the better actors in the group, yes, of course, um, yes, they're going to get lead parts, but it doesn't mean they should have every lead part for all the end of, because normally it's like three shows you do at the
Yeah,
end of
yeah,
the
yeah.
third year, in the third year. And it doesn't mean that you should have the three main parts in all of them. Like other people should be given a go because that's the point. Like I said, it's
It's the
education.
experience.
And also the thing is, when you come out of school, of university, drama school, whatever it is, the chance of you being the lead man at school and getting all the parts, going straight in and getting lead parts,
It's not gonna happen.
is very low,
Very
very,
low.
very
Yeah,
low. So you're not even used to being the smaller part as well. They haven't taught you to be the smaller part and
exactly.
the ensemble part. So it's kind of like it's when it's such a backwards thing that they're like, oh, we're training you for the real world. It's like they're not.
They're not,
They're
yeah.
not training you at all. So, and it really bugged me because then the other people who didn't really get the chance, who spent 3 years but still didn't get the chance, and they've but not been taught in that way.
Exactly.
Whereas if they did get the lead part, then they're like, oh gosh, I've had
It
this
should be
before, and yeah,
both, somewhere in
it should be
between.
both.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
And I understand it's difficult to find these plays and do these things, but I had a massive mission. I was like, every single child gets more or less the same amount of lines. Obviously, every now and then there's a couple of lines here
Of
and there.
course, but yeah, not a
Um,
huge difference.
so that was my mission when I first started writing plays. Um, and yeah, I don't know. There's no real. Obviously, we have the Christmas plays, which are either. I mean, they're Christmassy in a sense of the word. Um, and they're always comical. They're always kind of like over the top.
Yeah.
But I think that's good as well. I tried to do, especially with the olders. I think doing one comical play, and then you can do one more serious or dramatic or whatever. It gives a nice kind of like balance between that. Because
Because
sometimes
they're
they want to be too serious all the time.
yeah, oh, we have them.
Yeah,
Yeah. But it's also it's very important to remind them that being an actor is both. So
Mm.
being silly and having
Yeah.
fun and actually enjoying that part,
Mm.
and then being able to go deep to actually really study something deeply, understand the complex situations or relationships.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
we want to try to do both.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's kind of yeah. That's kind of like the with the plays how I started off with it. And yeah, everyone gets given a chance, but it does. There's the thing is when people are like, oh, they want more lines, they want more this, and it's like, but what you're not understanding here, a lot of parents don't understand, is it's not about the
It's
lines.
yeah,
It's about what they do in between the lines. And I have so many parents say, yeah, but they do want more lines. Like, yeah, that's great, and they've learned their lines, but they're not doing all the other stuff I need them to do in between.
and that's when they might actually be ready for more
Yeah,
lines.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's that, and also it's giving them that time and opportunity to be reacting, to be in character without just saying lines. Because when they're just saying lines, a lot of the time, not, they are in character, but they're not kind of like ready to then react with other people
Exactly.
and things like that. Yeah. So I think it's a good balance of that. And obviously the way we worked it because we have, and I think this is interesting for um, if people are interested in the drama teaching Emporium, especially for the scripts, is because we have age groups from 6 to 9, 10 to 12, 13 plus, and we had it across many ages, is that a lot of the plays have at least 7 or 8 mini plays within them that all come together to create an entire long play. And obviously, the way that I write as well is I have a lot of humor for adults in there as well. Nothing I have Judge Shaw that tells me off,
Judge Shaw.
but it's enjoyable for the adults to watch, and
Exactly.
that was my goal as well. Was let's not just write something for the kids and be like, oh, this is the play, this is
Yeah.
this, and stick to this, and you have the half the parents just sitting there like,
And waiting for it to finish.
yeah. And I remember the first one we ever did. And that one had we had Castle of Fells by that point, so we had 6 groups in it. So there was 6 mini plays, all went to kind of through. It was kind of like it was all the different like fairy tale stories and all coming together and everything like that. And we put it on, and it's really, really good. It went really well. And I just remember so many adults coming up to me afterwards and saying that was so much fun to watch. And this was so funny. The jokes were brilliant. They were hilarious. And I'm like, that's what I want as well. I don't want it just for the kids. I want it for the adults
For
who
the
normally go
audience.
to these things
Yeah.
going, okay, I've got to sit through an hour and a half of this.
I'm
And
actually gonna have fun.
actually enjoy it. And that's the nice thing. And for the past 10 years, you see the adults all coming out and they're like, oh, that was so much fun, or that was hilarious, or this part. And it's not just their kids, that it's not like a thing you being
Yeah.
dragged along and you've got to go to see a kid's school play and you're like, okay, that was nice, I saw
Yeah,
them now.
yeah,
Got to sit through the rest of it. They're like, oh no, that and that. Or they always talk about the other groups and things like that. So that was a big thing
often
for
it
me.
happens, and I really enjoy when actually parents of kids comment on other groups' performances, and they're like, "Well, that was really great. What is this group? They know
Yeah,
this. They actually know this, the group vibes and the group development and everything." So
yeah.
I think that's like if they manage to see that, it means that we're doing something right.
And with it being kind of like an ensemble group, they get to work together. Whereas when it's just one person or 2 or 3 people that are the lead parts and the rest are kind of background, they get bored.
Exactly.
And when you watch them, they're standing in the background bored because they're not engaged because they're
Exactly.
not even thinking about when their lines are coming up, let alone reacting to anything because they're
Or
just like, I know I'm standing here for until the very end and I get
yeah.
to say, yes, Mary,
Yeah.
that way. I
And
don't
they
know,
don't even know
you know
what
what I
the
mean?
show is about.
Yeah, no, they don't because they just switched off the entire time.
Yeah, that was
Um,
good.
so yeah, so that's always been the goal in that sense,
Nice.
is to entertain. Is like my kind of like ethos is to inspire, educate, and entertain. And I think obviously from a young age, entertainment has always been my thing. I've always been the joke, always been the one being stupid and ridiculous, and it has always been the entertainment thing. And no matter what I do, like first and foremost, even with my own films that I shoot, I want to entertain people. I'm looking for people to be entertained. I'm not the deep thinker. It comes in there, and sometimes other people point it out, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't
It
see that.
comes, it
But it's
comes.
there.
Yeah.
But first of all, I want to create things that are entertaining for people to watch, and that's what I try and do with the kids. And that's the nice thing with all of the kids coming together. They're all of this. So, and like if you've got school plays, or if you've got like us drama schools, and you're looking for plays in that sense, it's something where you're like, ah, we can make a show that goes all together.
That's the
And it's all,
challenge.
yeah, which is tricky.
Which is tricky, exactly. But it works
It does,
great.
yeah,
It
yeah,
does
yeah.
work great to actually combine all of the groups
Mm.
together. Beautiful. Great. So the Drama Teaching Emporium has the scripts.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure
So
to
many of them.
so many.
I think there's going to be over 40
Over
on there.
40 of them,
And there's
yeah?
still more that we're putting together.
Yes.
Wasn't very organized. Didn't think after 10 years it was going to be like this. We started off with just like, right, let's earn a little bit of money to act and direct. And then we didn't really put anything together. It was just on hard. I've got 8 hard drives just spread
That's
across.
why we're doing this right
And
now.
putting it all together.
All together,
Yeah.
organizing
Whew.
everything.
What an organization that's been.
But now
If
once
I
we
knew
do
this from the
it,
start, it would have been amazing. But yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay, it's okay. You didn't know then.
Didn't know.
Okay, but the question that I have now
Hmm.
is when you write, when you come up with exercises, when you come up with new things to do, ideas, that's tricky sometimes. No? Inspiration, finding new ideas. What are the biggest challenges that you find in this process? Because it's not always super easy. It doesn't always just like blah, blah, blah. Or maybe for you it is. I don't know.
Sometimes.
Sometimes it
I
is.
think it depends on my mood.
Okay.
If I'm in a good mood, then
Everything just
things just
flows.
comes out. I think that's good. Everything, things just come out.
Everything.
um, yeah, obviously, I think that's with everyone. When everyone's in a good place, everything works easier. Although some people they need to be in, especially our artists, sometimes need to be in very traumatic places to come up with things. Not me, I'm the opposite. Um, with exercises, it's always kind of like, right, what does the group need, and what would I want to be doing if I was in their shoes, and what are we trying to get out of this? Because it is difficult when we first started. Even now, you know, we're trying to find exercises online and then trying to sift through them and be like, oh, is that what I want? And trying to imagine how that's done and things like that. That's why we did videos. But is that so? And I'm not someone who has patience. I don't have much patience for looking for stuff and looking through stuff. So most of the time I was like, stuff, I'll just come up with it myself. And I think it just comes from like everything we learnt at uni, all those different things, and it's down in there within me and all the other stuff that we've done, whether I've acted and stuff or directed stuff, and like, oh, we need this, or I need to, how could that help?
And I think a big part of this is actually being present enough with your groups to see what they need. Because I think like the huge part is the individual approach that we have in Creation Drama Studio towards each group. You are looking at them as
Yeah.
individuals, as part of the community, but also as a group. And you're looking, okay, so what do they need?
Yeah.
Of course, we are going to be planning stuff ahead for them. But if we see it's not working, we do want to try to see what's the best thing for them. And I think that that's where the inspiration also might come from. Okay, so maybe I don't find it, I didn't find it online, I didn't find it. So my group has a specific need, I'm going to create something for them. So most of the
Yeah.
exercises actually
It,
were
it
created
comes
like
from
that.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. A lot of them come from that, and I think a lot of the theatre ones, like I said, because I studied theatre, that's what we did. There was like a tiny little module for acting for camera that was no. um, so I think a lot of that inspiration is there inside me. I spent 3 years doing it, and it's I know it's all the stuff is in there jingle jangling about, but I'm not someone who has the memory who has it all slotted in and.
Yeah.
But it just comes and you're like, oh yeah, this would be great. And then because I'm very good at coming up with writing ideas and things like that, and like I can come up with short scripts that I know can work, or come up with poems that we could play around with, and it is just because I'm too lazy to sit on the internet and troll through for hours. I'm just like, I'll just write it myself.
Yeah.
With the acting for camera, yeah, the acting for camera one's an interesting one because obviously I didn't study acting for camera. Obviously, it was more of a doing process where I learned, and also being a filmmaker that I've learned my process as well. So that's been a fun one, and sometimes that's a tricky one with kind of like, okay, what do we do with the camera today, or how can I take those exercises from theatre and use them? I'm like, that won't really work though, because it's like a different kind of like a whole different
Yeah.
side. So right, what can we do? So that one's been a because I think now we've been doing it. It's like we did summer classes since we started, and it was always acting for camera. But it was only just after COVID that we started actual weekly ones. So it's coming out with more and more exercises. So that's the interesting one because it's very technical.
Yeah.
and the kids have to be very technically gifted, not gifted, but
Not
very
even, but
aware.
aware,
Aware is the
aware.
word I'm
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
for. So it's like, right, what kind of exercise can we do to make them kind of like I literally come up with one with this week with kind of like one has to face the back and one faces the front, and the
Hmm.
camera's at the front, and they're having a conversation, but this person, and they're in a kind of like a lookout
Uh-huh.
situation. You're going to be doing this today. Uh, um, but the one facing away has to be aware of everything around them because they're keeping an eye out for what's going on, but
Hmm.
also has to be aware that they're turning around enough or moving their body enough when they're speaking or reacting
Where the
to
camera
know where
is,
the
yeah.
camera is, because sometimes you just get that's where the camera is. Got a beautiful shot. The
Yeah.
cinematographer's like, this is lovely. I don't want to bring the camera on the other side, or the other side is just we built the set like that,
Yeah, yeah,
and
so
there's
it's
just
just like
nothing there.
there's
So,
nothing there, yeah, exactly.
and it's getting kids to understand, right? Okay, the camera's not going to be on me in that sense straight
You
on
have
me.
to
It's
be
like, no, no,
aware,
you've got to
yeah.
be aware of it. So it's really interesting, and I love coming up with ideas like that and making them ready for when they go on a film set and
Mm-hmm.
realizing, oh wait, oh this is
Oh,
different, or like screen, like so.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
yeah,
where I got to
yeah,
do
yeah.
things like that. So it's a whole new world,
And it's another new skill,
a massive skill. Yeah.
it's a huge difference because it's like they are actually developing their
Mm.
skills with these exercises.
And a lot of it comes from again was like when I first went on film sets,
Hmm. I don't know what, yeah,
I was like,
yeah, because you
this
were
is
not
new.
prepared, yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. And the little film one that we had was just told us nothing about it.
Hmm.
And you're like, oh God, and like you'll hit your marks and do this and make it look natural and this and that. And then it's like, oh my, whoa.
No one told me about
But no,
this.
yeah, and it's so
Yeah.
different. So it's kind of like going back into the old me of when first started acting for camera. It's like, what did I need?
Hmm.
Oh yeah, this, and this, and what would make me a better actor?
Yes.
Especially because it comes through the learning through doing. It is learning through doing.
And I think the a very important perspective that you have is also being behind the camera.
Mm,
So you have the experience of an actor trying to act in front of the camera, but you know what you need from your actors when you're actually directing. So I
exactly, yeah.
think that's having both perspectives and combining them together, it's the best thing you can have.
Yeah, I think it's so important that if you want to be an actor, you do learn about the behind the camera and the editing of it and things like that because
Exactly.
understanding when you're on single shots not to talk over each other, not to do things like that because when you edit it, you're like, especially if
Yeah.
you've got just one camera filming,
Mm-hmm.
not two, and all these other things like depending on what if you're on a TV show set and they've got five cameras, then yeah, you
Yeah.
can talk over each other. It doesn't matter. But if you've got one camera and you're on close up to close up, then you can't talk over each other because it's going to be impossible for the editor to play around with it. And
Exactly.
understanding that the editor can make it go faster, or then, but if you give more time, they can make it slower. But if you don't give them that time,
They
it's
cannot do
very hard
anything.
to do
Yeah.
anything. So it's a great thing to understand. I definitely became a better actor for camera when I started directing filmmaking because I was then it's also then hard to switch off. I
Yeah.
think the first 2 years, maybe, of when I started filmmaking, it hindered me
Uh-huh.
because I became too in the director's head of, oh, I should be doing this, doing that. Where it's kind of like understanding the skills of behind the camera, being aware of it, but completely switching that off and just being the actor, but being aware of the skills of that and knowing what I can and can't do and things
Exactly.
like that, but not.
It's very hard.
Oh, it's very hard.
It's very hard,
But
especially
that's
when you
where a
have
lot.
the knowledge and everything around it. Okay, so as we were talking about scripts and the ideas that you are coming up with, so you have two perspectives while you're coming up with the scripts. How do you combine them? So the perspective of an actor, perspective of a filmmaker, director, how do you combine
Yeah,
those?
it's an interesting one because obviously the theatre and the film are so different. Um, and I have to think logically, first and foremost, I think logically as a director, how am I going to film this
Mm-hmm.
with the kids?
Mm-hmm. Especially with the kids,
With the
yes, of
kids, yeah,
course.
especially with the younger kids. So that's my first thought is, right, how can I film this? Is it easy? Like I come up with the ideas, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, is this easy to film? Or how can I go about filming it that I can do it in a quick way? Because I think that's a big thing.
Being
Um,
practical
yeah,
about
being
it.
practical about it and simple,
Mm-hmm.
but looking really good.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many kids films that I've seen. Like I've watched a few, not that kids have made, but schools have made, and you're like, it looks terrible.
Yeah.
Um, and it's very simple things that you can do to make it look good.
Mm-hmm.
That we've learned over this. I mean, you go back to our first films.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
Not awful, but I mean they don't
No,
look
but
good.
you
They
can
don't. They
see how
don't look
much.
good. They
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
look
yeah.
professional. But yeah, we've come over the 10 years. It's amazing. You look at some of the kids' stuff we do now, and you're like, wow, that looks really cool. So it's kind of like, right, how can we do it simple enough, but engaging enough for the actors to
And
have their
still looks good.
journeys, and yeah, to over a short, tiny little period, to actors still have their their character
Mm-hmm.
journeys. But I can shoot it in a simple enough way. Obviously, we're lucky with the studio here,
Yeah.
but in other places, like in at the casting studio in Barcelona, it's white walls everywhere. So it's
Yeah.
like, right, okay, how can I change that space into being something simple without having to take in the entire studio here into there? Um, so that's the challenge. Theatre does isn't that challenging for me.
Yeah.
It's the acting for camera. So it's coming up. I don't even know how many we've made now.
It,
It's insane the
it's
amount.
insane the amount of.
So it's just learning to come up with, right, what have I got here? I've got this space, so I've got a stage here. Right, so okay. So what could I do that could be a stage? We've done lots of different ones on here,
Mhm.
like, but it's kind of like the mockumentary style one, or having it as a an old theatre that was like
Yeah.
about to be torn down, or
Hmm.
things like this, and then all the other rooms that we have here, and like, how can we use those and change those and use those into different things? So it's like, right, first and foremost, what do I have? How can I work with it? Then I come up with a story.
Which is actually a very, very important part of drama teaching. Is like what tools do you
What
actually
tools do you
have?
have? Yeah, there's no point going, oh, we're going to do this and film this, or we're
Yeah,
going to do this theatre show where I have someone flying through the
exactly.
air. It's like, oh, we can't do that now, so I'm going to have someone on a trolley going through, and it
Exactly.
kills it.
And it's
So
very important to be realistic with your possibilities, you
definitely,
know? Because if you
definitely,
use
yeah.
your imagination, you can still come up with
Mm.
amazing space, with amazing sets. You can still come up with the things, but being very realistic of what you actually can or cannot do.
And obviously, the amount that you can film in theatre, you can have longer scripts.
Exactly.
In acting for camera, you can't,
Yeah.
because you've got to do so many different shots. And this is where a lot of people mess up. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of schools mess up, is that they just have wide shots.
Yeah.
So it becomes a theatre performance.
Exactly. That's filmed.
Yeah, basically, or they'll have two different shots and that's it. So it's like, no, how can I make this intriguing?
Mm-hmm.
But be like, right, okay. And also got to think about the lighting as well, right? How am I lighting this?
So many things to think
So
about.
it's a lot. It's so much harder. But then it's like, right, how can I light this where also I can move easily and quickly, where I don't have to relight?
Exactly.
Or if I
Exactly.
am relighting, it's just bringing in
It's
one
just
light,
one
or I'm
light.
just
Yeah.
doing this. So yeah, or I just use. I love practicals. We love practicals. So that's my first and my go-to on the writing is, right. What do I have? How can I make it work?
Amazing.
And then I'll go around that. And
Amazing.
obviously, it won't be the scripts won't be that long,
Mm-hmm.
but long enough that they make short films. I mean, I think we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot a lot by wanting to go bigger and do bigger and
Mm-hmm.
do short films, like actual like short films that last at least like 15 minutes, and doesn't sound much, but when you're filming for camera,
Filming,
it's
it's a
huge.
lot. Yeah.
I mean, like the one we did in the summer was 45 minutes long. Yeah. But that was all over the studio. I was doing all of that, but we shot that in 5 days with the kids just being here 10 till 4. Obviously, not we're not even shooting all that time.
Exactly.
So get
Exactly.
good on a DJI or something that you can
That
move
moves
around with, because tripod just takes too long a lot
too
of the
long
time.
to
Yeah.
just move.
Mm.
So many things to think about.
Mm.
So this is where the inspiration and the creativity and everything comes in. It's very important to be open to ideas, be open to new perspectives,
Yeah.
because you're, as a drama teacher, you're constantly creating,
Mm.
constantly trying to figure out how is this going to work for my group? How is this going to be working in the space that I have? Because a lot of drama teachers out there have the sources are not great. We all know that. So they might just have a little space in their school and this is what they have to work with.
Yeah.
So I think that what Drama Teaching Emporium is actually going to provide is adaptable scripts, adaptable exercises that you can use no matter what tools and sources you have. But with imagination, with creativity, you can always build something out of it.
It's very true, because all of our theatre performances,
Mm-hmm.
because we have this stage, but this is tiny. This isn't
Yeah.
this. We only do the small, tiny ones with the stage versus screen
Yeah.
ones. We have to use
The big
the
stage.
school a school stage for that, and we can't bring in much set.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not we don't build big things. John was looking at that. But but we don't build big things. We don't build big sets.
Yeah.
For me, it's the script that is the big thing,
Always.
and the
Always.
script is the thing that leads it. And
And the work that you do with
oh,
your
exactly,
students.
with the students and how well they do it. And yeah, if we had time,
We
and
would have done so
we
many.
do really cool sets,
Yeah.
which if you use our scripts, you can definitely do. And there's some schools that I know have budgets and have things like that, or have the
Use it.
resources where they'll be able to
Exactly.
make these look insane. Because I watch these, and we want to get our own theatre,
Yeah.
and we want to be able to have like weeks to build this set because I am a lover of sets.
Hmm.
I'm not Brechtian. I'm not one chair, and I do love sets.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for that moment when we get our own theatre where we can
Create
actually
the world
create
of
the world
this.
of it,
Yeah.
because the worlds that we have that have been created in the scripts would look amazing. Then it would look insane. And Sarah does an
Exactly.
amazing job when she puts them together, but she's literally getting there on the day, and
And building it up,
yeah.
yes, of course, of
So that's the
course.
nice thing. I think if one with the drama teacher Emporium, there's over 40 scripts. It's ridiculous how many you've got there. For all age groups, you've got full length plays,
Hmm.
and they're all written like originals, and they're things that you can put on without having big sets.
Exactly.
Or if you do,
If you do,
you can,
you can do
yeah,
it,
it can make it look amazing.
which is amazing. This is
Yeah,
exactly what we want.
and with the
Very
exercises,
adaptable.
yeah, the exercises as well, they're so adaptable to everything, and it's what I think the thing is because what I got annoyed about the most was we've been doing this now for 10 years or
Hmm.
like 9.5 years at that point, and we were like, I still don't know where everything is.
Yeah.
And I was still making up exercises, even then going, they've got them somewhere.
I've got so many of
So
them.
that was actually the first part of this, was just to organize the hell out of everything.
And it makes our lives
Yeah,
easier
to make up,
now.
because
Yeah.
me and Sarah are doing lesson plans for the entire week like that, or the
Yeah,
entire month, like in
exactly.
seconds, because we're just like, bomb, bomb,
Um,
bomb, got that, oh, that one, or what do you fancy doing? You say, oh, this, okay, that's fine, I've got that there, it's done, print it out, can send you
exactly.
guys the PDF straight away.
And we're ready to go.
Yeah, so that was actually the main goal, and then we were like, well, this should be easy enough for everyone to do this.
And accessible for everyone. That's the whole
Exactly.
point. So you don't have to search through the depths of internet and trying to figure
And
out
just simple,
what.
you watch the video and you can see it. Like, oh, we have a business coach, and we showed him our very first video that we did,
Hmm.
and he literally just went, I would know how to teach that now. And it was a 3-minute video,
Great.
and it's basically for it's for everyone, from people that don't know what they're doing this the first time starting out, to people like us who've been doing it for 10 years, but like still want more inspiration,
And
still want
especially
new
new
scripts,
ideas,
new
new
ideas,
scripts. Yeah.
want scripts that everyone, like, there's parts for everyone, or especially for schools where they have so many different years, and you can actually then put little
Combine
plays
them all
together
together.
and then put them on, and it's like, wow, we got an entire play of lots of different years
And everyone
together.
gets an equal opportunity to be on
Exactly, yeah.
stage.
And
Okay.
then you find people that you never thought could act, and you're like, oh my god, that's quite good.
Yeah, because you actually gave them the
Yeah.
opportunity to
Mm.
try it. Beautiful. Okay, so the Drama Teaching Emporium is coming very, very soon. We are very excited about it. So all
Mm.
of these beautiful things that we are talking about are going to be there for you as well. And thank you, Ian.
Thank you,
This was a
Maya.
very lovely conversation about a very important part of the business that we are all in. Because
Yeah,
being creative sometimes can be hard, but also seeing how you come up with the ideas, the perspectives that you actually use to come up with them, I think it's going to be very valuable for a lot of drama teachers out there.
exactly. I hope so too.
I hope so too. See you in the next episode of the Drama Teaching Emporium.